everyone needs to be involved in the fight to stop Cop City, because what we're looking at is the militarization and expansion of the police state. And for this to happen in Atlanta, people need to understand that since Freaknik, really, there has been a fight in Atlanta between the working class black people and the bourgeoisie. Yeah. And so Buckhead is one of the neighborhoods in Atlanta. It was one of the richest zip codes, and basically was like, get stuff together or we're going to leave the city of Atlanta. And this is what they came up with, was this Cop City, which during a time of environmental crisis, to destroy a forest of over 300 acres is just horrible and is a violent assault on the people of Atlanta and people globally. But what people need to understand is Atlanta is the worst place for this to happen. Outside of all of the murders, we've had places like the Red Team be disassembled because it was so violent and so corrupt, and that was a specialized police force. We've had multiple raids where, like the Eagle Raid, where it was a queer nightclub where people were literally raided and had stuff tossed, and it was this homophobic assault on people's communities. We've had police officers assault people. We've had police officers kill people. And what we've had was Cop City in particular was the corporate takeover of democracy. When they had the open hearings, the residents, the community said, we don't want this Cop City built. But you had gentrifiers and capitalists said, hey, we're going to raise this $60 million. We want this, so it's going to happen. People have called, people have protested, people have organized. They've done everything they could to push Cop City back. And what's very important is Cop City is not just for the city of Atlanta. It is primarily to train police forces all across the globe to how to suppress community uprising, how to stop good trouble. The home of good trouble is training police officers across the world to stop and repress good trouble. If we remember during the George Floyd uprisings, then Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms had the National Guard come in, shut the city down. Yep. That's when the students were yanked out of the car. So we have seen police occupy our communities. Yeah. And this is a time where the racial disparities in Atlanta are one of the starkest in the nation. That $90 million could have gone to housing, could have gone to healthcare, could have gone to food, and instead it's going to militarize and occupy territories and put more black and brown people in prisons. And this is something that everyone has to fight against. So you need to talk to your elected officials. You need to make sure people demand an investigation into the murder of Tort. First they said there was no gun, then now there's a police gun. So there was video footage, now there's no video footage. Right. And now we're never going to get anything because the police will never investigate themselves. But everyone needs to get involved and fight back and demand investment in communities and not in the police.
Absolutely. I remember in 2020, during those uprisings, you had the brother Rashad Brooks killed. Those officers were not charged. No officer faced any type of punishment from that. So now we have another police killing. And it does, make you. I mean, we already know, like the fact that police lie, police are corrupt. So when police come out and say, oh, there's no video footage and there's no gun, then it's like, oh, we found a gun. And, they're tests to see if somebody shot a gun, you know what I'm saying? But like we were saying, I mean, when they showed the gun is like a gun that police use. Then it was like, oh, we have video footage now, but it's just of the aftermath of everything. And so it's this thing of like, oh, these are domestic terrorists. They're bad, although nobody at January, only one person or a few people were charged with sedition for January 6th. That wasn't domestic terrorism, but this is. And it also kind of dovetails into what's happening in Memphis as well, Miracle, where you have 5 black police officers. There's also this thing of a lot of times when we have discussion around policing, that's what people say, right? Like, we need more black police officers.
Black cops.
And there's
if only we have black cops
if we just had more black police officers, there's no data that shows that the presence of black police officers decreases police brutality, militarization, or oppression. And so 5 black police officers have actually been fired, which is, so people are looking at this case.
I wonder if they were white, would they have been fired?
I mean, that's
on administrative leave.
That's a question, right? When people talk about the first police officer in Minneapolis that was charged with police murder was a black officer that shot a white woman, right? So a Memphis man, Tyree Nichols, died in police custody, and according to witnesses, he was beaten by these 5 officers. These 5 black police officers have been fired, and so supposedly there's video, and the talk around this is that the video is so bad that the police department took this step of firing these officers before the video came out because they were afraid as to like what the response, the community and public response was going to be. But again, this is something that Miracle touched on. You know, what recourse do we have when police murder us and kill us unjustly? Is, you know, the one recourse that's constitutionally protected is like peaceful protests. And here you are wanting to build this facility so you can find out how to further combat us, arrest us, kettle us, all of this violence that we're experiencing. And, you know, the violence, it's like that the person's life, that violence that led to the protest always like excused somehow. It's always like forgotten about. It's like, oh, they set a car on fire. Well, that's a car. Shoot, you just put $90 million to build this thing. You think they can't afford another police car?
Right.
So we can go buy a new police car for the police, or buy a new building. If the building burned down, we could put another building up. They got insurance, but we can't bring tort back.
Did you have all this wrote down?
I didn't, you know what I'm saying? But
You
it's
on
like,
one today.
yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because, you know, imagine if you spent $90 million to look at how to actually protect and serve community,
Right.
to figure out how to protect and preserve human life, which is what you're supposed to be doing. Now, imagine how different a relationship would be between the police and community if you know these people are here to protect my human life, to guard my life, to guard the actual pursuit of happiness and all the bullshit that they tell us that we have as black people in the United States that we don't, right? But no, you're actually training to see how to further oppress us, brutalize us, beat us. And so, of course, we're going to protest that. Of course we are. You know what I'm saying? And nobody should die based on a peaceful protest. So we say free the folks that you arrested from Cop City, and encourage folks to continue to get involved, to push back on this over militarization of police that we see taking place, not just in Atlanta, but all over the country.